Welcome to Micromobility World and the Riders' Choice Awards. Thanks so much for everyone joining us live. I'm James Gross, your co-founder of Micromobility Industries, and I will be your MC for today. This is the first ever time we've gone live on YouTube and streaming it via YouTube. So thank you for your patience as we try this out for the very first time. We have an incredible show for you today. I'm very excited for both the Riders' Choice Awards and the tens of thousands of votes that we tallied and authenticated and know they are valid votes for the over 2,000 companies that were eligible across over 40 categories. So it's truly an expression of where micromobility is, that we have so many great companies, so many people that of course were willing to vote on behalf of those companies, and so many kind of great categories across the owned and the shared micromobility space. To start, I wanted to just get into the programming on the micromobility world side. Today, we're joined by incredible companies and incredible leaders of those companies, from McKinsey to Comodule, to the folks at Christensen Group and Nyland Johnson, who are going to talk about legal frameworks in the world of micromobility. We also have Augustine Friedel from MHP, who does, I think, the best overviews of the state of mobility, and he'll be giving us a presentation on the state of mobility and micromobility in 2024. We also have folks from Thoravas, Points, and Zoom Urban Gear joining us as well. But as I mentioned, on top of the great content, of course, we have the awards to give out. So last year, of course, you joined us for the first ever Riders' Choice Awards that we did. And this is our second annual year. And again, we're very excited to be able to announce the winners across over 40 categories here live today. It's really just going to be, again, I think a really fun time. And I want to thank everyone again for voting as part of that. And then finally, I did want to, remind everyone of Micromobility Europe that we've announced coming up on June 6th and 7th back in Amsterdam. This should be our biggest show ever. And this is, of course, a video from last year in Amsterdam, where we had 2 amazing days of programming as well. We had an incredible ride with DJ Dom Whiting out around Amsterdam on that second day. So I think this conference has really become something near and dear to my heart. And I know everyone that takes place and participates. It's going to be an exceptional event. Tickets are on sale. We still have a very good deal on tickets that you can get right now. And we hope to see you all at Micromobility Europe here in what is less than 6 months away. It should be quite a show. And then finally, from a programming perspective, before we go live, I did have an announcement I wanted to make. And this announcement really is something that we're really excited about at Micromobility Industries, and really what we want to help the community, what we think we've heard from the community, and really as we just followed the overall space, we thought we wanted to do more and cover more. And today I'm excited to announce a new media platform from the team at Micromobility Industries. This platform is called Ride AI. And what we're going to do at Ride AI is cover the technology that moves us. So clearly, I think everyone in our community has heard and has probably followed the rise of artificial intelligence, primarily being driven by the innovations in large language models. And we believe that really AI will continue to not only, of course, change the world of generative AI, but will change how we move. And so we called upon ourselves to really cover this space and look at all of the innovation that can, of course, help unlock what we think is the amazing potential of micromobility. Some of that potential is lost in the barriers to entry for people that don't feel safe enough and don't feel like we have enough overall infrastructure. And so we believe what we can do by covering this space is highlight the amazing entrepreneurs, the amazing companies that are making it safe and that are making our mobility future better. And really, we believe Ride AI in combination with Micromobility Industries is the future of mobility and is the future of so much of the world I think many of us want to unlock and allowing us to move with freedom, allowing us to move as frictionless as possible, and allowing us to move as safely as possible. So to come up and talk about this with me are two of course, the people helping us put this together and really put this on. So I want to invite up, of course, my co-founder at Micromobility Industries, Horace Dediu, as well as an amazing person that's joining us to help create this event, Ed Niedermeyer. So let's welcome Horace and Ed up to the stage. Hi guys, how you doing?
Hi, James. I'm doing great.
Great. Ed, thanks for joining us as well. I think you're muted, Ed, potentially, sorry. So I think you all know, of course, Horace, everyone on this stream will know Horace. Ed, if you've been to Micromobility America, has participated, I believe, almost every year. So we're very excited, of course, to have Ed join us as well. Ed, I'll do another mic check on you. Oh, okay, no problem. So maybe I'll just start with Horace. Horace, clearly, I think we take so much inspiration from you, and as someone, of course, that created micromobility, the term, and saw the movement early, really as an analyst, as someone that follows technology. I would love to hear your thoughts, of course, on so much of what's happening in industry today. We're seeing a lot of this with Apple, of course, a company you follow very closely with, of course, the announcement and the imminent release of the Vision Pro. But yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on what's been going on in the world of artificial intelligence and how you think that might impact our world at micromobility and the broader mobility landscape.
Well, thanks, James. Just a quick personal note. People may not know this, but I actually studied computer science way back in the day. I took courses in AI back in the 1980s. So that kind of dates me a little bit, but I've always had a passion for both software and mobility in general, right? Mobility both in terms of devices, but also in terms of vehicles. And what's always been disappointing throughout my life, throughout my career, has been that there hasn't been a good marriage between software and vehicles. I often, complain that software and automobiles in particular seem to be incompatible. We don't have a lot of the ability for software to be absorbed. Notwithstanding all the talk we hear about software in cars, that is not the software I'm speaking about. That's typically embedded software meant to make the vehicle operate more efficiently. I'm talking about the user interface. I'm talking about the way computers and humans interact together. And sort of most software in cars isn't of the caliber of what we might see in computers. And so one of the things that's been the struggle is, like, one of the things I love about micromobility, its ability to absorb software and also its ability to evolve more rapidly, which is necessary to get that cadence matching what software developers are doing, typically updating every few months or years. Or hopefully not too many years, but you see a yearly update usually in operating systems. You see a yearly update in most major pieces of software, and cars don't have that ability, but micro does, and that's one of the encouraging parts. I think so. Like Andreessen, I believe in the power of software, and I believe that it can transform the world. I believe Mark Andreessen used the phrase, software eats the world. It's a little bit negative. I'd say it enhances everything. But it's also this, it's got the potential to really move things forward. And one of the things that has happened, as you mentioned, is this, emergence of truly stunning new technologies in software in the last few years. And insofar as those might be absorbable, it's not even a question of vehicles anymore. It's a question of the entire infrastructure of mobility. Obviously our streets, our neighborhoods, but also in terms of the cloud and in terms of communications and getting all this stuff synchronized. And it's been a dream for a long, long time. But I think that now we're getting to the point with the latest technology to be able to do this and deliver solutions much more rapidly. That's the big thing that's happened in the last few years. It's a giant leap in the rate of change. those are my thoughts. I think we have to be the home of this. I think we have to be, we as micromobility advocates have to be the people who are pushing forward this idea, because we're going to leapfrog the sort of the automotive infrastructure, if you will. And I think we can pull this off.
Great, thank you, Horace. And yeah, clearly, I think that's what so many people are excited about in this community. Ed, I wanted to go over to you, see how you're doing. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry about the audio issue. I had a little power outage here, and hadn't been back since, so I had a few technical issues, but all good here, and really excited to be here.
Great. Well, yeah, for the community, Ed, of course, if you've been to Micromobility America, you've probably seen him on stage, but Ed is, has been an author writing, you can see the poster in his background for Ludacris, his first book. I think Ed might have another book he might be working on coming up. Ed also runs the Autonocast, the podcast with himself, Kirsten Korosek from the TechCrunch, as well as Alex Roy, that many of you, I believe, listen to. And really for us at Micromobility, we're so excited to have Ed join us for Ride AI, where of course we can take so much of Ed's knowledge in the autonomous space and the just the broader automotive space, and really help us think through all of the ways, of course, that so much of artificial intelligence and so much of technology can change our roads, can change mobility, and just the overall broader mobility ecosystem. So yeah, welcome, Ed, and again, would love your thoughts on what we're trying to accomplish with Ride AI, and what people can expect from maybe you.
Yeah, thanks. So, I mean, I sort of got into covering the auto industry kind of completely by accident in 2008. It was always for me a lens to view things that I thought were more interesting than cars themselves. And so ever since I've been involved in covering cars in the auto industry, I've always been intrigued by what else is possible, and I think cars have dominated our thinking as much as our physical reality, so much that it becomes a real struggle to constantly be, trying to understand what is possible, both, technologically, but then also sort of within the mental constraints that we've created for ourselves. I think we've seen over the last decade or so, a lot of this has been a very exciting, area to watch, right? This intersection of technology and cars. Driving automation technology is one particular area of interest for me, but there's a lot of different ways in which intelligence, and increasingly now sort of artificial intelligence, is taking something that is sort of designed to just be a very standalone thing. A vehicle is not supposed to really relate to its environment and its context particularly, and increasingly now this is becoming a part of a system, and it's part of physical systems, but it's also part of informational systems and communication systems. And I think, over the last decade, we've developed certain ways of talking about this and thinking about this. And I think a lot of those recently have sort of run aground on some rocks. And I think right now there's a really unique and opportunity to kind of reboot that conversation, to take some of the lessons that we've learned over the last 10 years. And it's important to talk about all the exciting things about the future that are still to come, but I think it's just as important to take the lessons that we've learned about what hasn't worked over the last 10 years, about not just what is the potential of artificial intelligence, but how do we have to, in a lot of cases, constrain artificial intelligence in order to make it compatible with the level of safety that we require out of vehicles of all kinds, whether it be airplanes or ground-based vehicles or what have you. So I'm really excited about this moment right now. I think that all of this for me, or one of the main paradigms that I will fall back on when I think about sort of what does sort of moving, evolve, not just evolving, but then moving beyond cars look like. And Horace's work around sort of the concept of the unbundling of the car has been for me just like a really foundational thing that I fall back on again and again to think about things. And so I think of what we're doing here as being an extension of that, as micromobility is one piece of what unbundling the car means. And I think there's so much more of that to explore. And so that's what I'm excited to do with Ride AI.
Awesome. Well, Ed, Horace, thank you both. Just logistically for everyone, tomorrow we'll publish a bit of a manifesto and a welcome to Ride AI to all of our subscribers. Starting next week, we'll have a newsletter that will go out on Wednesday to all of the subscribers. that will be separate from the Micromobility newsletter. Of course, you can continue to follow along if you'd like, but you of course don't have to. And then as well, expect a podcast from us that ideally Ed is going to head up with some of the amazing, sort of network that of course Ed has. And then we'll also be publishing a Ride AI landscape similar to the Micromobility landscape that of course we run the Riders' Choice Awards off and everything else. That we'll hopefully be able to publish soon. And then this will ultimately culminate in our first event around Ride AI in Southern California, here in the United States, in the fall, that will coincide with Micromobility America as well. So lots to come up. Really excited about it. Horace and Ed, thank you both for joining today. And yeah, more to come from all of us soon. All right, thanks guys. And so now we'll kind of turn the programming back to Micromobility world with our first speakers from the outside today. So I'm very excited to welcome up to the stage Kirsten Heinecke, as well as Darius Scooter from McKinsey. Welcome to the stage, Kirsten and Darius. If you've been around the micromobility community for some time, you've seen both of these folks at our events in Europe and America. I actually had the pleasure to see Kirsten at CES a couple weeks ago in Las Vegas. So these guys are everywhere that mobility is, which is very cool to see. A brief introduction on Kirsten. He is a partner at McKinsey & Company. He's also the co-leader of the McKinsey Center for Future Mobility. That is the acronym MCFM. Darius is a senior consultant, of course, at McKinsey as well in the Center for Future Mobility. So Kirsten, Darius, welcome both of you to Micromobility World.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having us. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be a part of this great community and to be able to show our latest and greatest. What we'll do today is we picked two topics that we would like to talk about and share our latest research on. One is Minimobility. So as you know, we are not only excited about bikes, mopeds, scooters, and different types of 2 or 3 wheelers. We are also excited about Minimobility, so vehicles that aren't quite cars, but also are a bit bigger than bicycles or than large micromobility vehicles would be. And with that, I think I'll hand over to Darius to give us a bit of an overview on that. After that, as a second topic, we will be talking a bit about the bicycle city. So we have recently done a bit of some research to simulate and do a bit of a brain experiment, what it could look like if a city truly were to take micromobility even more seriously than some cities already do, and convert most of their mobility or a large share of mobility to micromobility. And we have done a simulations of what the benefits would be. But let's talk Minimobility first. And for that, I'll hand over to Darius.
Thank you very much, Kirsten. And also a big thank you to you, James. It's always a pleasure to be here and to present our latest research to such an amazing crowd. Yeah, so I'm, as James said, I'm a specialist, also co-leading our micromobility initiative. I've been working with many clients across the micromobility value chain, and so to say the data guy, the guy behind all our market sizes and consumer research. Let me start with the first topic we've brought along, which is Minimobility. Minimobility is a market that we have been following already in the last 2-3 years quite in detail. We define Minimobility by all types of 3- and 4-wheeled vehicles belonging to the L6 and L7 category. And the good news is that this market is still quite on an uprise, right? We have been asking consumers in our latest consumer survey about the willingness to integrate Minimobility in the future mobility mix. And it turned out that roughly 20% of global consumers said, yes, I want to use Minimobility likely or even very likely in my future mobility mix. Now, if you segregate the consumers by living area, it turns out that, maybe not as a surprise, most consumers in urban areas are willing to use Minimobility, less so in rural areas. The next question we asked about Minimobility concerns the top use cases. So we asked consumers about the use cases that they are willing to use Minimobility for. And for me personally, the main message is there is not the one niche use case, right? There is a broad portfolio of use cases for which consumers want to use Minimobility. The most relevant one, as you can see here, being grocery shopping. 48% of the consumers say they would like to get a microcar, for instance, for groceries, followed by leisure activities or music. But again, I think the main message is here, there is not the one niche case, and that's why it's also so relevant for so many different customer groups. And that is also shown by our third question we asked. Here we wanted to understand if a consumer uses Minimobility, what is the mode of transport that he or she would most likely replace it for? And it turned out that 45% of all consumers say, well, I can imagine to replace a certain share of my private car trips by using Minimobility, followed by public transit, ride-hailing, car sharing, and then other micromobility modes. And maybe that result is not very surprising, right? Especially in the urban context, we do see that for many people, a microcar is much more convenient. Yeah, think about the search for a parking spot, but also, of course, much more cost efficient. So overall, we continue to be quite bold about the Minimobility market. We are very much excited to also present you our next market sizing on that specific segment. And that being said, happy to hand over back to Kirsten, who will talk about indeed our latest research on the bicycle city.
Thanks, Darius. What we did here is a bit of an experiment. So we wanted to see what would actually be the potential of converting a sizable share of trips that are done in a city to micromobility. And for that, we needed an exemplary city. And because we didn't want to take one specific city and offend anybody, we decided that we'll simply use an average city. And we did this based on our McKinsey model that we have that looks at 2,000 cities globally. We looked at the average European city, which doesn't really exist, but has about 1.1 million people. It has a private car park of 520,000 vehicles. So that means every second person owns a vehicle or has continuous access to a vehicle on average. And then you can also see what the modal split looks like, right? So in this average city today, 71% is private vehicle and only quote unquote 11% is micromobility. If, by the way, you were to do this for a larger European city, you would find that public transport takes a higher share. If you were to do this for the average American city, I would assume that private car is somewhere in the neighborhood of 80, 85, maybe even 90+%. So depending on where in the world you do this or where on the planet you do this, you would find different average cities. Having said that, we looked at what would actually happen if people were to take the bicycle more frequently, and how many people would actually be willing to take the bicycle, how frequently. And we asked them, so how many of the trips you're taking today with your private vehicle would you be willing to replace with a micromobility device? And you can see here there is a bit of a diversion between the different people. So you see lots of people actually say none of them, right? So you have a significant share, 39% of people that say every single trip I take by car, I want to be taking by car in the future. The positive news is that there are also a lot of people that actually say we could do almost my trips, 80% of the trips, or even 50% of the trips. And if you now average all of that out, you end up at 23% of all private car trips, which people would be willing to replace. And this is the number we use. So we said we're going to take the average from our survey. We're going to say, imagine now these 23% of all trips would be replaced by micromobility. And here we didn't discriminate whether it's a bicycle, whether it's a scooter, whether it's another form factor. It didn't matter for our survey. We just wanted to make an assumption here. And ultimately, you could say we can actually reclaim almost the size of the Hyde Park in London in terms of space that is currently used for car parking. And if you now think that the average European city with 1.1 million inhabitants is actually probably 1/10 of what London is, freeing up an area as big as the Hyde Park, which is a pretty big park, actually makes a huge difference. What I also found interesting is 25 hours of commuting time. So it's a whole day that everybody would get back because there is less road congestion. And we're not talking about the people that are switching to bicycles. They're obviously gaining even more, right? But every single citizen in the city, simply because the 23% of trips are less required, gets that one day back. So it's actually a benefit. So if more people start cycling, if more people start using micromobility in that sense, it's actually a benefit for everybody. And then last but not least, 1,300 euros a year that is actually being saved because there is lower utilization, there is lower cost, there is lower standing in traffic and so on. This is again a benefit for everybody, right? So a massive amount of money that could be used on other things, that could be spent on other things, and then especially also the time effect and the space effect. And we found this quite interesting. Again, take it as a bit of an experiment and playing with the numbers. But we did not make any crazy assumptions here, right? We took the average of a survey that we did, the 23%, and came to the conclusion that a city might actually be better off if more people used micromobility. But I know that I'm preaching to the choir here, so I know that you all think that anyway, but we just wanted to put some more facts behind it. One last word about us, what we do in McKinsey when we work in the mobility space. So we are very happy to work with any kind of mobility company, regardless of the stage. Our mission is always to make your business better, quote unquote, accelerate your sales, and ultimately improve the likelihood of success of getting a great valuation, getting a great next funding round. And then last but not least, a little bit of advertising for what is going to happen next. So obviously we're going to be at Micromobility Europe. We're going to be at Micromobility in San Francisco. But we have introduced now a new format for the first time this year. So we're going to do 4 webinars over the course of the year, every 3 months, more or less, where we are going to talk about different things, micromobility. We're always going to keep insights from our market assessments, our consumer research. We're going to talk about regulatory topics, but we'll also give you the chance to ask questions to Darius, to me. We'll also bring a few other faces in case you get tired of the 2 of us. So we'll make sure that this becomes an interactive format and that we can actually have even more exchanges on these great topics. Thanks so much for having us. Like we said before, always a pleasure being part of this great community and being part of these dialogues, and very much looking forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions, if you want more insights, you know where to find us. LinkedIn is always a good source, but I'm pretty sure you'll find us directly. Thank you so much.
Kirsten and Darius, thank you so much. That was excellent. I also appreciate the shout out to the webinar series that's coming. You guys have been an invaluable resource to the community, and just, so many companies I know that you've worked with that are, also sing your praises. So again, thank you so much for this presentation. Fascinating. It'll be available online. And as Kirsten mentioned, you could see these guys on LinkedIn. They do a lot of publishing in January, I've noticed. So a lot of great content coming out from the entire McKinsey crew. So thanks again, guys. And we will move on here to the first of our Writer's Choice Awards. So here we go. The second annual Writer's Choice Awards kicks off now with what I think is going to be some pretty hot companies. And one thing I'll say is we kind of randomized this. So while, of course, if you know the micromobility landscape, you have companies cross-owned and shared, you have hardware, software. We've also broken this out into multiple vehicle type companies and multiple categories in each vehicle type, e-bikes, scooters, etc. So it's going to be a little bit all over the place. I thought that'd be a really fun way to do it. And of course, celebrate all the amazing companies that we have. So with that, here we go. The first Writer's Choice Award is going to go to the best 3-wheel scooter. You can see the finalist here, some really great competition that was whittled down to the finalist. And I'm excited to announce the Writer's Choice Award for the best 3-wheel scooter goes to Ascol. Congratulations, Ascol, all the way from Italy. We're excited to see you guys, of course, continue to innovate in the scooter space and the moped space. And congratulations on your, of course, victory here as the best 3-wheel scooter. The next award for the Writer's Choice Award goes to the best autonomy and robotics company. This, of course, is a great category. It's a category I think we're going to talk a lot more about of course, with Ride AI and what we cover as it relates to autonomy and robotics on the roads, in the buildings, in the air and sea. As it relates to micromobility, you'll probably notice a lot of the finalists as bellwethers in the space that have been around for some time and are doing amazing things in last mile vehicle delivery, as well as other areas where, of course, we've seen autonomy and robotics play a role in micromobility. And so I'm excited to, of course, announce the winner, and then I'm very excited to see where this category goes in years to come. So the Rider's Choice Award for the best autonomy and robotics company goes to Faction. All right, so we have one winner out of Europe. Now we've got a winner out of the United States. Congratulations to Faction, Ein and his whole team out in the Bay Area, in Silicon Valley, in California. Actually, Ein was at Micromobility America not just a couple months ago, and it was really cool to see their new partnerships, as well as how they're taking a lead in last mile delivery in multiple form factors with micromobility, whether it's the pod style form factor, and of course they're also experimenting with other mode types as they really try to drive a safe and secure solution for last mile delivery, last mile autonomy. All right, so our third category is the best beach cruiser. So this is the first of many e-bike categories, as I mentioned. Oftentimes you'll see in our slides, we might not say bike or electric bike, but this is in our electric bike category. So best beach cruiser for anyone, oftentimes we think of the beach cruiser as something we only cruise and around the beaches, but we also know this is a kind of laid back, comfortable style of riding that's become very popular here in America, really around the country. I also have, in my travels in Europe, have seen a beach cruiser around when it's even not near the beach. So finalists here, you can see it's a very competitive category, a lot of really cool and clever innovation in this space. I think a lot of companies having fun in this space. And so I'm really excited to see where this goes. And so the Rider's Choice Award for the best beach cruiser goes to Mod Bikes. Mod Bikes out of Texas, actually. So I guess some irony there, in the beach cruiser company that wins is in Texas, which of course, if you know, it's a fairly landlocked state, although you do have the Gulf, although Austin is not very close to the Gulf. So congratulations to the team at Mod Bikes out of Austin, Texas. We've known Mod Bikes for a little bit, but not for a long time. And we've covered their vehicles at Ride Review. So this is a nice win. I'm surprised by this win, and congratulations to them and their community for voting them as the best winner of the best beach cruiser. Next up, okay, this is a very, very highly contested category. This is the best cargo electric bike for carrying kids. So we split out the cargo category this year at the Rider's Choice Awards. We have the best cargo for kids, carrying kids. We have the best cargo for carrying goods, sort of non-kids. And then we also have the best front-loading category. If you've been to Eurobike or even Micromobility Europe, the cargo category in Europe has just taken off. And so we wanted to split it out as many ways as we can. We've seen a lot of people, of course, pick up cargo bikes in the US as well, but not at the same scale we've seen in Europe. But we think this is an area for, of course, innovation and a lot of companies doing a lot of really cool things. So you can see it also, of course, in the finalist categories. You've got the front loading, more, amazing companies like Urban Arrow, to Turn, of course, a very popular solution here in the US, to others, and Yuba, kind of an older OG company in this space that's been around for some time. And so the best cargo kid bike, the Rider's Choice Award, goes to Electric e-bikes. Electric, congratulations to you and your team out of Arizona. Levi was on stage at Micromobility America only a couple months ago, talking about the need for the industry to come together and to do more. Electric is now the largest seller of electric bikes in the United States. I think they did over 150,000 units last year, which is, of course, more than many of the more traditional e-bike companies or the more traditional bike companies that are company bikes combined. So really running away with the category in some ways, at least here in the United States. So congratulations to the team at Electric. That's a fantastic win. All right, we're going to do one more category before we go to our next speaker, and that's the best cargo electric bike non-kid. So kind of, you know, for carrying other things, so to speak. This also, again, a very hotly contested category. Many companies that ultimately made it to the finals. And the winner for the Rider's Choice Award for best cargo non-kid bike goes to Benno and Benno Bikes. So we interviewed Benno on our podcast with Oliver Bruce. This was a year ago, actually, almost to the day. Benno is located here in Southern California in Solana Beach. Benno, of course, is also the co-founder of Electra Bicycles, which of course has been around since the 90s. Benno is a great story, coming from a German coming from Berlin, moving to Southern California, starting a bike company in Electra, being one of the first electric bike companies. Now he's back out with Benno. If we were at Eurobike last year, Benno has just got some amazing bikes. And it's great to see him win in this category. I truly think Benno is an artist and someone constantly reinventing the types of vehicles that he's making. So congrats on this win to the team at Benno, and looking forward to seeing more of your vehicles in Europe and of course here in the US. All right, so that's the first 5 categories. We've got more to come, but we also have some more amazing content. So with that, I wanted to invite up our next speaker, Alex Gimlin from Comodule, who is going to be speaking on, of course, Comodule, an amazing IoT connectivity company. Alex is going to talk to us all about why all e-bikes will soon be connected and what that future looks like. Again, another topic that I think we're really excited about with everything we want to do, of course, with Micro and with Ride AI. So with that, Alex, the stage is yours. It's so great to see you. It's been a little while, but you're always at Micromobility Europe. We're always excited to see you in whatever outfit you're in. So it's great to see what you're here at Comodule and where you've landed. And yeah, excited to hear about what you got for us today.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for the intro, James. Happy to be back. I'm going to share my screen while I'm doing this. Also, big congratulations to the winner so far. Give me a signal when you can see my screen, so we can get this rolling here.
You're good.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So happy to be back. Hi, I'm Alex. You might have seen me, as James pointed out. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Comodule now. Been in the micromobility space for a while already. At least at the events. Engineer by training, based in Köln, Germany. That's the German word for Cologne, city of Cologne. As you can see, I've lost my hair in the car industry, but very happy to be now in the micromobility full force, especially in the bike industry. I'm on that note, I'm also a very passionate van move rider when the bike works. And yeah, I'm easily energized, and I will show you what I mean. But before we dive into the topic, I want to talk a little bit about Comodule and what we do. So we empower micromobility, and we do this for 2 areas. One is the vehicle manufacturers, and for today, most importantly, the e-bike brands, help them make connected and very nice, attractive vehicles. And also rental or sharing fleets, where we support all sorts of form factors, kick scooters, as you see here, but also bikes, mopeds, etc., for the sharing applications to make these vehicles connected, so you have a fully automated rental or sharing experience. How do we do this? We provide end-to-end connectivity solutions. So here you see an IoT device installed in a bike as an example, which then talks to the cellular network to the cloud, providing data from the vehicle into the cloud, and also receiving down commands. And this data is then made available to humans through our companion app. That's a white label app we provide to vehicle manufacturers, and also a control center to dig into the data and get more value out of it. That's for the human side, but we also provide for the machine interfaces and an SDK and APIs to build your own tools and processes on top of that. So far, we have 750,000 vehicles connected globally. Here you see some of the form factors out there. I think that's really, really cool to see. And we would like to see more innovation happening also on the vehicle side. That's really good. And I already mentioned the number of vehicles we have connected. We have also been awarded by you guys, by Micromobility Industry last year as world's best connectivity provider. So fingers crossed for today. We do have the full development in-house from the hardware, firmware, software, but also do the production ourselves. And we're based in Estonia, where our headquarters is, and also in Germany. Total team size is around 200 mobility experts. And this year we will turn 10 years. So that's already going to be a good reason to celebrate. And now I want to go back to the topic, why we believe all e-bikes will soon be connected. And why do we think that, why do we make this bold statement? And so we like to sometimes joke about, we want to Amsterdamize more cities because we believe, I mean, we all know this, especially in this industry, we don't need more cars. Cars don't bring us the freedom that they promised to us. It's actually more, especially in urban settings, getting stuck in traffic, which is more or less the opposite of freedom. And we believe we have much better solutions, being light electric vehicles and especially bikes. As you see here, it's not only more fun, it's more sustainable, it's also more efficient, and mostly it's also much faster. And as we don't build the bikes ourselves, we see us as an enabler. We want to help OEMs, vehicle OEMs, vehicle manufacturers build better vehicles, and in this case, build better bikes. So the switch for the people to get out of their cars onto bikes will be easier and more fun in the future. And so now I would like to go and talk about 5 trends that we see and why we believe these 5 trends support our claim of bikes will be connected. And the first trend I want to talk about is own your customer. It's more and more important to really understand what the customers like, what they don't like, where they have issues with. So you need a constant line of communication to the customers, to the riders in this case, to understand what they think about your product and where there's areas to improve, and again, make that switch and transition easier out of the car onto the bikes. And for example, an app is one example where you would get such a way to interact with the riders. Obviously, as a second trend, theft is still a blocker. It's not nice, obviously, to find out that your vehicle or your bike has been stolen, especially if you rely on it as a means of transportation to get you from A to B. And that's also what our survey tells us, that 60% of e-bike riders look for smart security features, which is why we have started to build features around that. For example, alerts when your vehicle is moved in an unauthorized manner. And if it does being moved and it does get stolen for whatever reason, there's a GPS tracking so you can actually recover it. And this also brings it back to my initial point that you want to trust that your vehicle is there, and you want to trust that you can rely on it to bring you from A to B. So it's about reliability as well. And this brings me to my next point, my next trend. Reliability is key. This is something I have learned throughout my career many times, especially in mobility. Reliability is absolute key. It's about knowing that this vehicle is there, just like a car, you can rely on it. Bikes also need to be there and to be relied on. So I know it brings me where I need to go. And obviously we don't want to have these surprises, these unpleasant surprises that you have a breakdown like throughout the journey. So for example, predictive maintenance is a topic that we can avoid these things by gathering data and make sure your vehicle is always there to rely on to bring you from A to B. Next trend, data to Excel. And I don't mean putting data into an Excel sheet, but I mean looking at data as a mean to excel in your field, in your business, and to look at this as an opportunity to learn more about how the product is being used and how we can build more attractive products down the road to, again, make that switch to the bike easier and better and more attractive and more fun. So we really believe there's much more value in the data that we can gather. And this is one example from our customer swap feeds. who actually have used data to help reduce bike breakdowns by 66%, which is really a massive improvement. And we believe there's much more examples where data can help make better products and make that switch easier and faster. And my last point, the last trend is mobility is a digital experience. Well, obviously it's a physical experience. We all know this, right? It's about moving from A to B, as I said before, but it's also very much a digital experience, and we see it everywhere with regards to public transit, with regards to taxis, to car rental or car sharing, or even cars themselves. Everywhere, it's becoming more and more visible that it's also a digital experience. And riders do expect that. They expect a way of interacting with the product, of being able to customize it to their needs. And so we really believe this is something where it underlines our main point that connectivity is at the core of the e-bike. As sorry, now I lost it. Because all of these 5 trends pay into this point, and we really believe it's not a question if it's going to be connected, but only when. And so we see there's early adopters, and then there's fast followers, and then there's everybody else. And so we really believe it's not about when, it's not about if, it's only about when. And with that, I close up. Thank you for listening. Please get in touch if you want, and enjoy the show.
Alex, thank you so much. As always, it's great to see you, and for being, of course, prompt and right on time. I appreciate that. If anyone wants to get in touch with Alex, he puts it there, but he's on LinkedIn as well. Comodule, as Alex mentioned, is still up for an award today, along with some of their sister companies. So it's it's an exciting day, I guess, for Comodule to come, and we'll get to that. So thanks again, Alex, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, we are on with the next 5 Riders' Choice Awards. And this one is for city living, which is I get a lot of questions on this category over time, like what is a city living vehicle? We try to define it as something that we thought was sort of the best commuter for people that live in dense urban environments and want to, of course, maybe have a vehicle that is fun and cool, and of course can fit into smaller places, and is not so heavy that it can be actually carried into certain places, but also it's not folding. Folding is a separate category, so that's an important point. There's a lot of people in this space and a lot of people making really cool vehicles in this space. So with that, just a little bit of clarification. But the Rider's Choice Award for the best city living electric bike goes to Ampler. All right, so again, an amazing company out of Estonia in Europe. Ampler has become incredibly popular, and I'm excited to see them actually win as part of actually the overall Comodule family there. So congrats to our friends in Estonia, to Ampler, and we hope to see more of those bikes here in the US. I think more people could have a little bit of that Estonia vibe going on in the US. So congrats again. All right, the next category is the best comfort electric bike. Again, here, a little bit of a category that might need some definition and some explaining, but this is something that we've seen on Ride Review, a lot of questions around. Hey, I'm looking for a bike that's more comfortable, that can be more casual, and can allow me to kind of just lay back. So not necessarily beach cruiser style, but just something that's super comfortable for my ailing joints, or just making me feel nice and comfortable as I ride around, kind of like how I feel maybe in my car. So the winner for the best comfort e-bike goes to Highboy. Congrats to Highboy, a rabid fan base at Highboy. Highboy had quite a few categories they were nominated for, and quite a few votes across those categories. So it's nice to see them winning one for best comfort electric bike. Next up is the best commuter moped. A very, very competitive category with a lot of entrants. I'll also say, as it relates to the moped, some definition from the US to Europe, and kind of trying to clarify some of these categories. A lot of electric bikes can, of course, go the speeds of mopeds, Here in the US, that's more than, basically more than 35 miles per hour as we think about it. And so you'll see that there's some e-bike companies that are actually in these categories and actually do quite well in these categories up against more standard traditional electric moped makers. So you'll see that, you can see that in the finalists, and companies from Land, which of course you can think of Land as a motorcycle or a moped, to Super 73, which you can think of more as an electric bike, but unlocked with software, of course, can be a moped. So yeah, that's a little bit of definition there as it relates to different categories. So the Rider's Choice Award for the best commuter moped goes to Nui. Okay, so Nui won last year as well. So this is back to back. Nui, of course, is a global company with more mopeds out there than almost anyone. So with that global reach, it would make sense that they could win in a category like this. So congratulations to Nui, back to back winners in this category. Way to defend your title. All right, next up is commuter motorcycle. All right, this has been a fun category. Last year at Micromobility America in October was the first time we really saw a lot of commuter motorcycles actually at our event. We had a whole test track dedicated to the motorcycle category and mopeds. Anything's faster than a Class 3 electric bike. And we're seeing a lot of amazing innovation here in the US around the commuter electric motorcycles, as well as, of course, in Europe. And so with that, the winner of the best commuter motorcycle in the Rider's Choice Award goes to Rivid. Congratulations to the team at Rivid, a company here in California. We've had Dong, the CEO, at our podcast a couple times, actually, with Oliver Bruce, as well as Dong, of course, was a big part of Micromobility America, and has also done a lot of work around regulation and helping think about how to make electric motorcycles more available, as well as more safe. So competitive category, but congrats to Rivid on taking home the win. All right, we'll do one more before we jump to our next presentation. Presentation I'm really excited about, with Augustine Friedel. So the last category here is for best commuter electric bike. Again, very competitive as it relates to commuter. Again, think of commuter as something, as opposed to city living. This might be a slightly faster vehicle, but again, most likely something that you're really using as potentially a car replacement for a lot of trips in and around urban areas, less than 3 miles type trips. And so again, it's going to be a very competitive category. And I'm excited to announce that the Rider's Choice Award for the best commuter electric bike goes to Cowboy. So another European electric bike company, an amazing startup that's, as Alex mentioned before, he was a big fan of VanMoof. VanMoof, unfortunately, has had a tough transition, although now owned and being operated by Lavoie. So we gotta hope and pray there that things are going to get better. But Cowboy has done a great job with their finances, a great job with their community, and a company that we could see in the Rider's Choice Award is increasingly popular globally. So congrats to Tanguy and the entire Cowboy team. We're looking forward to seeing you all at Micromobility Europe. So with that, I will, of course, go out of the Rider's Choice Awards, and I will invite Augustine Friedel to the stage. Augustine is from MHP, which is a Porsche company, but as well, Augustine is kind of internet famous for his amazing graphs and charts, and how he looks at mobility. Of course, how he studies micromobility, but he also studies the broader mobility landscape. And I think he does a great service for anyone that's interested in mobility. We've had Augustine at our events before at Micromobility Europe. Hopefully he'll be back again this year. But I, for the first time, wanted to do something at Micromobility World where we really had a third party like Augustine break down the space for us, looking at 2024 and what we can expect for the year. So with that, I'll invite Augustine up, and excited to let him have his keynote here. Welcome, Augustine.
Hi, guys. So thanks for having me today. Taking over the screen now. So you should see it now. Okay,
Yep,
perfect. Yeah. So yeah, thanks again, James and Luke, for having me today. Some of you might know me from LinkedIn or the Micromobility community. I've been at the conference or at the newsletter. I think just a podcast episode with you, James, is on as an open item on my bucket list there. So then I have everything. Full disclosure, as you see here on the screen, I work for MHP, which is a Porsche company. We work with cities and corporate clients around the world on the mobility transformation. And today I'm here to give you some insights about the current state of micromobility in North America and in Europe. And let me start with bad news. So we still, and the bad news is that we still have a long way to go. Yeah. So on the left side, you see as it should be, and that's basically the vision that all of us are working for. In the middle, you see how we act. Yeah. So it's micromobility is less important. We still drive a lot with like the vehicles, especially in the US and in North America, because the infrastructure is not ready, but the same in Europe and also other parts of the world. And then on the right side, you see then also micromobility and active modes are not the top priority of like cities, how we plan the infrastructure and how we get around in cities. So that's still like a long process, and then that needs to be clear for all of us. But there also are some promising signs. We see slow but promising trend in North America on the usage of shared mobility. So the positive trend here is that we see cities going up, or cities with micromobility going up with shared micromobility roughly 1/3 since 2019, before the pandemic hit. Also, if you look into trips, like the middle column, there also we are basically back on the level of 2019. And if you look to the right side, there we see the craziness of the industry of the last years. Basically, there the vehicle count of like bikes, scooters, e-bikes grew by roughly 50% within the last 4 years, despite the pandemic. Quite interesting fact here is you see the dark blue one, the e-bikes, they have seen like the biggest push coming from 24,000 in 2021 to more than 40,000 e-bikes in 2022. So that's definitely a trend that we see more e-bikes on the streets, less pedal bikes. And then also, if you look into the scooters and then compare it to the demand, so there's a huge gap between like scooter growth and the demand for scooters. Yeah, there's an oversupply of vehicles in the US. That's then also like if you break it down to the utilization, so trips per device, there's also a clear trend. So the light blue one, scooters, is coming down from more than 2 trips per device to around 1 trip per device. So that's then also no surprise that e-scooter companies have troubles building a sustainable business there. Then if you take the blue one, or the dark blue one, the dark blue columns, there you see then an uptake of the usage of e-bikes in the US. So there we are roughly at 2 trips per device as of today. And let's see how this is going forward in 2023 and what we see then there in 2024. If we jump to Europe quickly, so there it's kind of a same picture. So the positive trend here is that we are like stable on countries. So in Europe, we have around 41 countries with shared micromobility schemes on the street. We talk about 950 cities and towns. This is still growing, and the service provider landscape is still flat. So let's see what will happen there in 2024. But we have more than 80 service providers providing shared e-scooters, bikes, or e-bikes like here in Europe. On one side, we can talk about big numbers. So there are more than 500 million shared micromobility trips per year in Europe. So around more than 3 times what we see in the US per year. So there's a huge difference. So that's also maybe an indication why Europe is so interesting, or was so interesting for the big American players to build the business here. But to put it in perspective, and also to link it to what Karsten and Dario said earlier from McKinsey, there's a huge potential. Yeah, so if you compare it to our overall mobility, that's less than 0.5% of our urban daily trips in Europe is done with shared micromobility. So that's a huge potential to grow there, but we need to understand that's not happening from today to tomorrow, it's a slow progress. So here, the cities with e-scooters, to give you some numbers here, grew around by 200 cities year on year. If you compare 2022 and 2023, up to 850 cities. And then if you look into the different vehicle types and like city footprint with the vehicle types, so they are again similar picture as we see in the US. Cities with e-scooters are growing, and then also cities with bikes and e-bikes are growing. We also talk about two different other vehicle types in the micromobility space and the shared space, which are mopeds. There we see, okay, it's not going in like a positive direction. It's flat or also declining. Cargo bikes, which are a great vehicle, but maybe not for sharing. I think they're like on a very minimum level here in Europe. If we talk then quickly about the demand, so a similar picture as what we see then also in the US. Like left side is the demand for shared bikes. So if you compare their 2022 and with 2023, we see an uptick of then like in 2023, especially on free floating bikes. So we have here station-based schemes and also free floating schemes. Free floating has seen like in this period here a more than 50% like increase. Different picture on like e-scooters. There the demand is declining, and that's then also driven maybe by some city decisions and cities taking more ownership of the fleets in the cities and how the scooters etc. are used. I would also expect that this is a trend that we see going forward. Okay, what does this all mean then for the operator landscape across the globe or in North America and in Europe? If we start in Europe, so there we had like last year some rumors to start in May that Bolt and Tier want to merge their networks across the continent. This followed then through in August with like Voi and Tier, and as most of you might have heard of, that's ended now in like a Dot and a Tier merger at a very lower valuation that both like companies were valued at in like the last funding rounds. So there the rumored amount is that like the combined company value is around 150 million euros. I think Tier was valued close to 3 billion euros at like the peak valuation. So that's an also something we see, basically a crash of the valuations going forward, but they are more like survival mode to then try to build a sustainable business for 2024 and the next years. If we looked in here on like a broader perspective, similar trends that we see in the US. With like the abrupt end of like the Link super pedestrian operations, despite the funding of 125 million and like roughly or a bit than a year ago, also the chapter 11 of the poster child Bird, and like on the right side, then what I just mentioned, the merger of Tier and Dot, they also secured financing of 60 million euros going forward. But my personal expectation is that they need further financing to turn around then the company, and I'm quite curious to see how like they merge both teams, technologies, and then the city footprints. The last point, what's the next? If you have a short look on the different vehicle types, so I'm less optimistic about microcars than sharing, cargo bikes, mopeds. Also, they are more like a niche. Scooter will see like also a positive trend, but the hype or the uptick is definitely on the right side on bicycles, and they're like the electrification with bicycles. They will be the dominant form factor going forward. And then also the electrification of fleets is a lever of like existing shared mobility providers with like pedal bikes, but also of like city schemes to increase the acceptance and to increase the usage, so that we are ending at above 0.5% of daily trips in urban cities or urban areas in Europe with like shared micromobility. And then my last slide, So these are the 3 companies that I have on my watch list and for 2024. Lime for the US, so that's quite interesting. What will they do? They are now the survivor. Bird, super pedestrian are more or less gone. So will they reshift their strategy to the US? And what will happen with the IPO planning? Then if you look into Europe, on my watch list is then Voi. What does it mean now that Tier and then Dot merged? So what is their strategy then next? And then on the right side, one of the big players in Europe as well is like Bolt with the ride hailing and micromobility network. And so there it's also quite interesting how they will handle the planned IPO. What will this mean then for like the micromobility business? Do we see there like a carve out, or will they continue going forward with the micromobility? So this, as you see then also like with the situation in Europe and the US, the market is very dynamic, and I would also expect it will be the case for 2024. So for me, it's quite curious to watch and then update all of you on what's happening there. That's it from my side. So here you have my contact details. If you want to reach out, let me know. If you need any support or if you want to discuss a topic. Thank you very much again for inviting me, for having me today, and congrats to all the winners today, and let's talk soon.
Augustine, thank you so much. As always, I'm so impressed with your knowledge. You're the encyclopedia of the space. So we appreciate you coming on. And as Augustine mentioned, do follow him if you don't already on LinkedIn. And we hope to see Augustine actually in Europe, but also before then, we got to have you on the podcast for sure. So got to figure that out. But yeah, hope to talk to you before Micromobility Europe and get some more knowledge out of you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Have a great day.
You too.
All right. So let's go back to the Riders' Choice Awards. I'm seeing in the comments, so we'll get here for a highly contested category, and of course I liked Augustine's ratings there on the application of shared with scooters versus electric bikes versus other modes, which I think was really smart. But what we've seen here in the U.S., of course, is a very big market for people wanting to own their scooter, which is something that we don't really see ending anytime soon. And whether it was being at CES and seeing the amount of scooters that were there, or just seeing the amount of scooters on the road, there's a lot of great companies making commuter scooters here in the US as well as Europe, of course, and around the world. And this was a highly contested category, and you can see some of the finalists. We actually couldn't even fit all the finalists on the slide. But if you're in the market for a commuter scooter, there's amazing companies, and you can definitely get a great vehicle at a great price as well to really mode shift you if you're looking to save money or you just want a better commute than being in your car. So with that, I'm excited to announce the Rider Choice Award for the best commuter scooter is Inokim. Our friends at Inokim, who were actually at Micromobility Europe last year. Yeah, congrats to Inokim. This was, again, a highly contested category. We still have other scooter categories coming up. But yeah, I want to give them a shout out for winning this category. We got to fix your logo a little bit in our formatting here. Sorry about that, Inokim. But congrats on the victory. All right, next up is the best commuter electric skateboard. Maybe you'd say, oh, I can't ride these things because they're too crazy or whatever it might be. I'm really excited that actually our Tyson on our team, who did all of the reviews at CES and the videos that you should definitely watch on our YouTube channel if you haven't yet. Tyson is a big electric skateboard reviewer or person, I guess you could call him. And so he's much more adventurous than me. So if you got commuter, if you got skateboards you want us to try, definitely send them to Tyson and not to me, because I end up somehow not riding them quite as well as Tyson can. So yeah, another category where you've got a lot of people. We also had a lot of electric skateboards at Micromobility America, not as many electric skateboards at Micromobility Europe. So curious if anyone's got an opinion on that in the comments, why people aren't riding electric skateboards as much in Europe as they are in America. I'm sure there's plenty of reasons, but yeah, I'd love to hear yours. So with that, the Rider's Choice Award for the best electric skateboard goes to Meepo. All right, congratulations to Meepo. I love that. I actually really like that Hurricane board that they have. Meepo was at Micromobility America. I was riding that board and a couple other boards. They also have some new boards coming out that I don't think have hit the market yet, that also look really exciting. Some of the lighting they do now that kind of integrates with the board looks really cool. So yeah, congrats to Meepo on this victory. Well won amongst your peers. Next up, okay, so we're kind of shifting all over here. We're going from, vehicles, now we're back into software, into, small chips in and around your vehicles. This category, again, as we mentioned earlier with Ride AI, connectivity, IoT, Alex's presentation earlier today, like this is so much of how we're going to build a better micromobility environment as vehicles can communicate with each other, as vehicles can alert if they've been stolen or being taken. All these things are, safety and concern about my bike being stolen. These are huge barriers to entry for people. And so many of these great companies actually solve a lot of the issues of not having a connected vehicle, not having a smart vehicle. And really, we think many of these companies are just getting going in terms of the innovation we'll see from them. So again, a highly contested award. Only one person can win. The Rider's Choice Award for the best connectivity and IoT company goes to Comodule. Okay, so another win for Comodule, defended their title. Congratulations to Comodule and that entire team. Very excited to see Comodule's commitment to the micromobility space and the technology that they're building, and we're very excited to see what they do next. Okay, one more category before we go back to the presentations, and that is for the best data and planning company. Of course, again, another topic of consideration as it relates to urban planning, as it relates to more and more mobility being about not just the physical roads and the physical hardware, but really how can we see the data coming off our roads? How can we see the data coming off our vehicles? How can we make sense of it to make a better sort of urban landscape? And so the Rider's Choice Award for the best data and planning company goes to Swiftly. All right, congratulations, Swiftly. Wonderful win. And yeah, excited to see what you guys do next, and excited to see you all hopefully at Micromobility Europe. So with that, we will take a break from the awards. We're about halfway through on the awards side, so we're making really good progress. I'll stop my sharing there, and I'd like to invite up to the stage both Maggie Boschenberg and Trisha Bolliker, the two co-founders of Points. Maggie and Trisha are going to talk to us about micromobility route planning and how to think about it both from a safe and compliant way for all the micromobility providers out there. So yeah, welcome to the stage, Maggie and Trisha. We're so excited to have you today.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Yeah,
Great.
thanks.
Hi, Trisha. All right, well, the stage is yours, I guess I should say. And yeah, knock them dead.
Awesome. We'll go ahead and share screen and get started. Okay. All right. Hello, I'm Maggie. This is Trisha. We're the co-founders of Points, a safety-focused mapping app for people using bikes and scooters, specifically in cities. And today we're really excited to be sharing with you about some of the insights we've gathered from our riders throughout the US, and share how our software uses these insights to help increase rider confidence and have peace of mind while they're out on the road. So Trisha and I met back when we were undergraduates at Brown University. And when we got to campus, both of us were without cars and, like many college students, either walking or biking to get everywhere we were going. And of course, the first few times we were out on our bikes in Providence, it was pretty nerve-wracking because we were using traditional mapping systems and being sent on extremely heavily trafficked routes. And in a class, Trisha and I were researching how to get more people out of cars and using micromobility for transportation. And we interviewed over 200 people, and 67% of them said that safety was the main factor holding them back from riding more often. Probably unsurprising to a lot of you, but the main factors were that they didn't feel that there was enough infrastructure, and they simply didn't feel comfortable being around a lot of traffic. So the way that we aim to address that problem is we explored a few different solutions, but came up with a system for rating roads on a 1 through 5 bike friendliness scale. And this is based on the amount of car traffic and the volume and speed, as well as the bike infrastructure and a few other factors that go into what makes a rider feel comfortable on the road. And we take data from a variety of places, including open source, cities, and crowdsourcing to come up with these road ratings. And then after we have the road ratings, we incorporate them into a routing algorithm, which favors the lower stress roads. That is all packaged up into our consumer-facing application, where we have over 10,000 riders using, and I'll talk a little bit about that now. So it works similar to a traditional mapping solution. So you can see a map, but one big difference is that we have all of the colors of the roads rated on the home screen. And then when a user searches for their destination, they get this middle screen where they can select what level of comfort they are wanting to have on their route. Usually, if the riders are a bit more experienced, they might slide the slider down and take a more direct route that takes less protected infrastructure. If they're less experienced, they might slide it up, favoring the lower stress routes. And of course, the crowdsourcing component is also a part of our solution. So you might be wondering what exactly makes our routes different compared to Google Maps. So we did a route comparison study and looked at about 75 routes throughout different cities and found that our routes come out being about 10% longer on 3/4 of the way up the slider. But we incorporate a lot more low stress infrastructure into the routes. So the dark green represents protected infrastructure and separated paths, and then the light green represents low stress residential side streets. The yellow and orange are more heavily trafficked roads. And we found that our users say that our routes help them feel more comfortable and confident navigating streets.
Yeah, and so as we've gotten to know our users over the last couple of years, we've learned that our most active riders are actually the ones who use e-bikes and e-scooters. And so that's why we're really excited to announce that we're launching Points Plus this winter, which is a premium version of the app that's built specifically for e-bike and e-scooter riders. We'll also be expanding our coverage to all of North America besides the US, and also Europe and Asia. So one other thing we wanted to share is that we surveyed 150 of our most active e-bike riders and wanted to ask them about what features or aspects of an app would form the perfect e-bike app. So the top 5 features requested for Points Plus are here on the left. These include safety-focused routes, battery range incorporated into the routes, secure and indoor bike parking so bikes don't get stolen, location tracking, and accurate ETAs. In addition, 37% of riders surveyed said that they would feel more inclined to buy an e-bike, to go out and buy an e-scooter, if it were sold with a subscription to our premium app. And based on this finding, we wanted to offer a partnership with e-bike and e-scooter brands so that they could include these features and this sort of a solution for their riders while also sharing revenue from Points Plus. So the way it works is that brands can bundle a 12-month subscription to Points Plus with every sale of an e-bike or an e-scooter. And they can handle this cost for the 12-month subscription by either absorbing it or passing it off to the end user or to the end customer through the initial sale of the e-bike or e-scooter. And then, after 12 months, after the subscription's ready to be renewed, the cost and the revenue collected from the subscription will be split between us and the brand. Also, brands can join our existing partner network, including our newest partner, who is the main scooter and e-bike provider at Costco. So if you're an e-bike or an e-scooter brand with an existing app, we also offer software SDKs of our premium app, and these can be integrated into your own app, so riders don't really need to switch between 2 different apps, which can get confusing. And we do also offer these same services, the SDKs, for premium features and integrating those into existing apps if you're an operator. So the one difference here is that our routing will now incorporate no ride zones, slow zones, and parking zones, so riders can stay compliant, and also create really great experiences for your riders to ensure that they become repeat customers. So yeah, in summary, we wanted to share that safety is truly the biggest barrier against more people riding bikes and scooters worldwide. We have a solution here with Points that lets e-bikes and e-scooter riders find confidence while navigating through the streets. And we feel like our services also benefit the e-bike and e-scooter brands that serve these riders, be it through improved customer experience, through selling more vehicles, and from increasing total trips taken on these vehicles. So if you're an e-bike or e-scooter brand or operator that could benefit from our services, please do send us a note. Here's our contact information, and we'd really love to hear from you.
All right, Trisha and Maggie, thank you so much for your time and for the announcements. That's very exciting. We like when we have announcements. So we need to make sure that everyone that wasn't able to watch this, of course, we got to cover that in the newsletter to get the word out. But congratulations on all your success to date. And yeah, thanks for joining us at Micromobility World.
Thanks.
All right, back up to the Rider's Choice Awards. We are on the Best Delivery E-Bike. Again, another place where you're seeing a lot of different types of companies and modes come together. Mopeds, electric bikes. No scooter companies that I know of that actually got into this category. But yeah, we've got some finalists across folks like Cake, to Scootility, which is making some really fun stuff, to the folks at Wiz, who are just continuing to grow like weed out of New York City. And so, yeah, the Rider's Choice Award for the best delivery electric bike goes to Zumo. All right, Zumo, great company, doing going through some interesting times, but yeah, congrats to Zumo on this win. All right, next up is drive units. So of course, the drive systems that move us in electric bikes is specific to electric bikes. A category that often is dominated by Bosch in Europe, and is often thought of as almost like just the biggest player. But we are seeing new entrants. I know Veer was at Micromobility America doing some really cool things as it relates to drive units. So yeah, the Rider's Choice Award for the best drive units goes to Bafang. All right, so this is the first time Bafang has won this category in the 2 years that we've done it. And it's great to see Bafang. It's great to see Bafang come to our events. It's great to see them out at Eurobike and other places. And yeah, it's great to see that the community behind them is voting for them to win the Rider's Choice Award. Next up is the best conversion kit. So this would be an e-bike conversion kit. These would be, of course, kits that we can say are as safe as possible. I know there's been a lot of challenges around conversion kits. We've covered this a lot on our podcast and actually at our events too, with people converting bikes, specifically more delivery workers converting bikes and buying conversion kits that oftentimes can catch fire and things like that and have really unfortunate consequences. So these are great conversion kit companies doing great things for moving pedal bikes into an electric world. And we've covered this space a little bit at our events. And the Rider's Choice Award for the best conversion kit goes to Clip. All right, congratulations, Clip. Clip also was the winner of the Startup Awards at Micromobility Europe in 2023. So building on that 2023 victory and the Startup Awards, congratulations to Clip on the Rider's Choice Award. Next up, we get into reviews. All right, so I love this. Where would we be without all of the expert reviewers that are out there talking about all the different vehicles, of course, in the micromobility space. So we have 3 review category winners. We have an e-bike review award, we have an overall reviewer award, and we have a scooter reviewer award. So the Rider's Choice Award for the best e-bike reviews, I should say, goes to Electric. Okay, congrats to the team at Electric, led by Micah Toll, who we love here at Micromobility World, and the Rider's Choice Award. And at Ride Review, always kind of the #1 expert for reviews that we see in the electric bike space. So it makes sense that they would win this award. Mike is always great about coming to our events in Europe and America. We hope to see him again. He's really just a marquee person to, of course, be there if you have new launches. And we think he's basically probably the most important person if you have an electric bike, that you get it in front of Mike and the team at Electric. So congrats, Electric, on the Rider's Choice Award victory. And then one more before we go back to the presentations. The winner for the best unicycle or one-wheeled electric vehicle. I saw one this morning when I was out before the show started. It's amazing to see the proliferation of one-wheeled vehicles and, of course, the speeds at which they go, where you've got some people going a little bit slow, you have some people going very, very fast, it seems like. And so, yeah, we're excited about this category and some of the folks in this category. So the Rider's Choice Award for the best unicycle goes to One Wheel. Congratulations to the team at One Wheel Company out of California here. Sold over 300,000 units and has just done an amazing job. They do off-road, on-road. It's a great commuter. It's a great to take on the trails. They have the One Wheel race now. We've interviewed Kyle, their CEO, on the podcast. And so, yeah, we're really excited for One Wheel and this victory. And congratulations to that team and to all the One Wheel companies. We hope you all, of course, do amazing things here in the future. All right, that will end the Rider's Choice Awards for a second, and we will go back to content. And so I'd love to welcome to the stage both Brandon Shu of Christensen Group and John Wackman of Nyland Johnson Lewis. They are going to co-present and give us a presentation that entitled Coming to America, Insurance and Legal Considerations for Operating in America. This, of course, is a very, very important topic and one that we've seen come up in the news increasingly, both on the shared side and on the owned side for micromobility companies. So it's great to have both John and Brandon here to give us a presentation. So with that, John and Brandon, welcome to Micromobility World and the Rider's Choice Awards, and the floor is yours.
Thanks, James. Appreciate it. Hi, everybody. My name is Brandon Shu. And we got John Wackman here with us. I'll share the screen here. Give me 1 second. I got too many windows up. Go. Right. So today we're talking about coming to America. So we thought this was going to be particularly educational just because there's so much going on right now in the space in terms of new operators, consolidation, changes to regulations and everything else. So I'm Brandon Shu. I'm the head of specialty insurance for Christensen Group. One of the biggest categories within that kind of area for us is wheeled or rideable risk.
Yep. And I'm John Wackman. I'm a lawyer in Minneapolis. I work on product liability and regulatory issues, have my whole career, and I've been focusing on micromobility for, say, the last 7, 8, 9 years, and have a whole team that kind of works on any issues related to micromobility.
So we got a couple issues here, as you can see in the conversation. We want to hit on regulatory. We really want to hit on RFPs. I think this has kind of been widely publicized, and especially in the light of some of the recent consolidations and closures of how to deal from a legal and insurance standpoint with tenders and RFPs that you're getting and applying for. Want to hit some risk management areas. Obviously, batteries have been a big deal recently with the FDNY. I want to hit on rebalancing because it's one of the biggest loss leaders that we're seeing right now in the insurance space. And then kind of driver safety goes along with that. John, you want to hit on marketing, do's and don'ts, and then taking kind of control of your claims and putting yourself in the driver's seat for your insurance renewals and your legal claims, and then kind of your insurance policy and how you buy, your consumerism of how you buy insurance. Everybody knows regulatory hurdle number one, California AB 371. If you haven't seen it by now, you're probably not in California, but effectively requiring $10,000 in coverage for the rider, and this onus or burden has been heavily put on the operator right now. So most, if not all of you, are probably dealing or complying with that if you are a shared scooter operator in California. New York, similar bill in committee right now, 2021 S7294. It's kind of at a standstill. I don't know if it has legs or not, but just based on the fact California has already put this in motion, we expect that New York is going to be shortly there behind, and probably other metropolitan areas too might have something to say about rider insurance.
And Brandon, just want to click through the slides and get it on full screen mode.
Oh, yes. I can figure that out. I'll figure that out once you.
Sure. On the also on the regulatory front is the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, the CPSC. And just as an educational background for those who don't know, this rule applies to manufacturers, importers, and retailers. So the CPSC, deals with any consumer products, kind of for who's ever selling them or bringing them into the country. And what the rule is essentially is if you have a systemic defect with your product that can cause an injury, then you need to report to the CPSC and let them know that. So that doesn't mean anytime somebody gets in an accident, you have to report. But if you have an issue that's sort of broad across your products, you need to report. CPSC promotes a sort of when in doubt report mindset. And I don't fully agree with that. I don't think most companies fully agree with that, but I will tell you that if you have a question, you should report. The reason you want to do that is if you don't report in a timely manner, you can get fined, and the fines can be and often are in the 7 figures. And so, and also if you report, even if you don't think a recall is necessary, you might be right. 70% of reports to the CPSC do not end in recalls, and a good chunk of those are the ones that do end in recalls are ones where the company has said we want to do a recall right out of the gate. So if you have a question, it's better to report often so you're timely reporting, and then if the CPSC disagrees with your assessment, maybe you end up in a recall, but you certainly don't end up with a fine.
John,
and the CPSC,
can you see my screen?
I can now, but it's still on the, I can see the small slides on the side. So also, and why is the CPSC a particular interest right now? Because they're focused on micromobility products. They've said that in commissioners at conferences like this have said, this is an area we're interested and concerned about. They've been tracking through what's called NICE data, where you look at hospital reports. So they're tracking injuries and deaths from micromobility products, and issued a report about 18 months ago, maybe a little less, on injuries up through a certain period of time. There have been more than 15 recalls in the last couple of years on micromobility related products, and they're also issuing numerous sort of safety alerts, sort of public service announcements, or on their website about proper riding techniques, safety, and things like that. So there's certainly, and the fires, of course, have not, have been impactful on their interest as well. So they were very much focused on our products just because they're in the news a lot. And so they're just like us. If they see things in the news, they sort of gets their interest. And so we're sort of under their watchful eye right now.
All right, I have multiple screens up here, so I'm just having some trouble with this, but if you can see it, we'll just go from here. All right, RFPs and tenders, kind of along the same lines. most cities are pretty green when it comes to micromobility. There's obviously a lot of consultancy happening, with third parties and that sort of thing. But, normally they're forming committees internally to determine what to require of their operators. So, a lot of, lobbying of some degree is not really happening in cities right now. So, that is certainly some momentum that we would suggest occurring is getting more representatives in City Hall to make these operator requirements less draconian. But right now, insurance requirements are one area where we can really, I think, push back in successful ways in a lot of instances. So, certainly feel free to get your broker, your underwriter on calls with city government to push back on some of these issues, because certain cities are really pushing some ridiculously high aggregates and high requirements for insurance. And then legal indemnity contracts, John, maybe you want to push back on that as well, but we are seeing some pretty onerous requirements on the legal contractual side.
There's been a lot of one-way sort of indemnity obligations, or mostly one-way, and the cities have taken a very broad brush approach. We've seen situations where our clients have had operators had scooters in a city, and somebody riding a scooter and a city vehicle, hit somebody on a scooter, and the city said, well, we want you to indemnify us, even though it was the city vehicle hitting the person on the scooter. And also a lot of sort of street repair issues. So if somebody hits a pothole and that damages the scooter and causes an accident, the city says, well, you've got to take, over the defense of that, even though there's no way the operator has any ability to control the quality of the streets. So there, in those situations, we've pushed back and said, we don't think we have to, but the contract is worded very strongly in favor of the city. So you got to be very mindful of that and try to negotiate that area.
So we want to focus a little bit on risk management right now. There's some areas, that where we're seeing maybe some deficiencies in risk management. We want to help with that. And why manage risk? The question, well, we're all hearing the same terms if you're renewing your insurance policies from the underwriters. They're scared of these kind of 5 critical areas right now. Social inflation, which encompasses regular inflation, but just in general, the value of human life is exponentially increasing every year with medical trend going up. So that's an area where juries and verdicts keep getting bigger, leading into these nuclear verdicts that we're seeing across the board. It used to be you'd see a couple $100,000 verdict. Now we're seeing millions of dollars in verdicts from kind of a variety of different areas, including the mobility space. Not as much on the operator side, but certainly on the manufacturing side. We're seeing a lot more investment into litigation, just like venture capitals invest in this space. We see a lot of alternative investment strategies investing in litigation itself. John, maybe you can touch on that for just a second, but it's plaintiffs' firms where they used to have limited budget now effectively have unlimited budgets.
Yeah, so we've seen it both in individual cases or a portfolio of cases. So the sort of the math of the plaintiff's cases sort of changed from before, where if a lawyer took a case, they only recovered if they win. Well, if they've already gotten paid by the investment fund and the investment fund has an expectation of a return, there's more likely to push the case to a trial or deep into a case than we've ever seen. And so that with the nuclear verdicts and all that, the demands have increased significantly from what you have traditionally seen for a certain type of an injury case. And so, it's a riskier space than it's ever been.
And what's the result of all of this? And then fire is the last one. Fires have certainly been heavily reported. We're seeing a lot of ways and mitigation tactics and approaches out there from a lot of vendors. I'm sure a lot of people listening to this call, whether it's whatever it might be, we're going to hit on that. And then what's the result? We want to decrease rates here. So between reinsurance going up, between capacity reductions and rate increases, we need to tell an effective story. So we're going to talk about ways to do that. How to manage risk. So warnings and safety. John, you want to talk about what you're doing on the warnings and safety side?
Yeah, and it's kind of an area that has sort of been problematic, especially for newer companies, because it's exciting to get the product out, but then thinking about sort of the manuals and the warnings. Preventative measure stuff helps in really two ways. It helps with successful rides so that people don't get injured, and that's the most critical part. But then it also positions you well for situations where you have an accident. So you want to make sure that you are, telling people how to ride your products, and then you are well positioned in case they don't follow your warnings. And you want, with regard to your warnings, you want to have what I say is a story. You got to be able to explain why you warn about certain things in what order. So typically you want to have your most important warning first. So if they only read one, they've read that one. And then you have your second one next, and so forth. And so you want to actually think about your warnings, how they're positioned, what you're saying, and the order, so that hopefully you reduce the number of claims. And then also when you do have a claim, then you can point to these warnings and say, well, you didn't follow this one, this one, and that one, and that puts you in a better position to defend a case.
Battery testing, John.
Yeah, well, as we all know, New York adopted, a statute in the city where you have to test to certain standards, and that's going to go across the country. I mean, it's really important. I mean, there's just been, well reported about the fires and things like that. It's important to test to those standards and really kind of look ahead and try to get ahead of the curve, because it's going to get more stringent as we go forward. It's also important if you're an importer and you don't necessarily make the product, get supplier certifications that say, okay, we did test to this, we did do that kind of stuff. And then whenever you can, try to have a sort of a test plan for your product. Say, well, we test, is there an analogous safety standard that we can test to? Now, they might not directly apply, but are there parts of it we can use? And so, even having component level testing, that helps you in a case. So sometimes people smash into curbs and break things, and you want to have some durability or strength testing where you said, well, we applied a certain amount of load to a particular component part, so that if that's broken, you get a metallurgist in to say, well, it's an overload. It got hit so hard, and that puts you in a great position in litigation to say, well, we test to this, which is 2 times the expected load for this component part, and they still broke it, which means they were going at a high rate of speed and hit something solid. And so it's not a product problem, it was a riding problem. And so those are the kind of things, that kind of testing can help you in the litigation, because you've actually, had a test plan, you've tested to it, and then it shows that it was a robust test plan, and the person still found a way to break the product.
Now, likewise with battery storage, just from an insurance perspective, you want to make sure you're kind of implementing anything out there that can help with fire suppression. Number one, sprinklers. We see it all the time. People are renting warehouse facilities, and then they forget to ask if there's a sprinkler system. Well, you're going to have a tough time with your insurance if it's not sprinkled. Fire lockers and other battery technology that, we're seeing advancements, anything that you can help tell this story, tell an effective risk management strategy to your underwriter is going to be very helpful.
And also have a documentation plan that you have in place, the things you're supposed to do, but also how you're documenting that you're actually doing that, on a daily basis with battery storage.
Like I said in the beginning, one of our biggest loss leaders right now that we're seeing is rebalancing. It's a complicated, nuanced area of your business. you're running bikes around or scooters with large sprinter vans or box trucks. It's just becoming a huge loss leader with driver claims, with auto claims. So finding ways to effectively supplement or use an alternative in the delivery or rebalancing space, like low-speed electric vehicles or trikes or bikes with trailers. Those are ways to reduce the exposure you have from an automobile standpoint, because there's really limited capacity in auto insurance in the rebalancing space right now. And I'm sure you've all kind of witnessed that. It's much easier to use a non-auto vehicle or a small low-speed electric vehicle to navigate those roadways. Marketing, John.
Yeah, I'll just touch on this briefly. It's fairly simple. I mean, if you warn or instruct somebody not to do something, you can't then show it in advertising. So helmets are the most obvious example. If you tell people they should wear a helmet, you can't show people using your products without helmets. So it's fairly simple, but it's easy to miss, because there's, especially with so many social media posts on a frequent basis, that show images that are fun to watch, but they also often can not show proper writing techniques. So one thing that we advocate for is sort of creating a card, a do's and don'ts card that can sit by your marketing person. They can quickly look at, do they have helmets? Are they doing everything that they're supposed to do with regard to the operation? That, if we tell people, not to ride on sidewalks, can't show people on sidewalks, that kind of stuff. This can also save money as you create your own content, so you don't shoot images that you can't use, and then you just have to redo it. And the final point is, there's turnover at every company. And so train new employees, because, the knowledge loss can cause an issue to crop up. And it's not for anybody not wanting to do the right thing. This person just doesn't realize what they're supposed to be doing.
Right. This is one of the biggest areas that we see successful reductions in premium in, is taking risk better. There's very conventional ways of taking risk, like a deductible. There's also some more strategic ways of taking risk. An SAR is a pretty conventional way, but still less conventional than a deductible. That's kind of you taking the first layer of insurance. There's quota sharing within the limit. Co-insurance is another word to describe it. Ventilating layers, so taking risk in between layers of coverage is one way to do it. And then obviously just having a niche broker who is very experienced in this space, because the underwriting community is very specific and very particular. And those are relationships that, we really have to cultivate and make sure that, they are strong, because it requires a high degree of trust to make sure that, you're getting the right data and you're submitting the right data. And then, making sure you're, stratifying that data in this sort of mentality where, you're delivering the message to both the client and the underwriter of, if you deployed some of these strategies, what would that mean? What would that mean for how you are handling claims internally? And what would that mean for how the carrier is seeing those numbers impact their balance sheet? And then this is one thing that we always like to highlight is, and why John and I have had such a successful partnership, is making sure that your legal person and your insurance person are harmonized, right, John?
Yeah, it's important. I mean, for you getting renewals, to have a strategy, how you handle cases, and be able to articulate it. But having national counsel strategy saves you both money and litigation and human resources, because you don't have to re-educate your attorney every time. There's too many policies where you get a new attorney every time, they never really understand your product. And that's the most important thing in a product liability, is somebody who understands your product. And so it's something you don't have to keep telling them about. They're learning the product as you go. It results in you get better results in litigation, which then gets better results, when you renew your policy.
And then you put all this together for your insurance submission with your broker. And, this is a storytelling business. It's belly to belly. It requires relationships. That's what we like about it. It's not just based on the numbers, because if it were, it would be a very kind of treacherous landscape, even more so than it is today. So use data, put skin in the game, pre-underwrite, make sure you have the numbers that you can say, this is what we want, and this is why we want it, and then ask for a target premium. And that'll go a long way. And then that's it. Questions, just reach out to us directly. I also wanted to promote the podcast here. We have our own podcast, Risk Seller, where we talk about a lot of this and drink some wine in the interim. That's it.
All right. Thank you so much, Brandon. Thank you so much, John. You can see both Brandon and John. Well, you can listen to the podcast. They'll also be at Micromobility Europe in June, as well as America. They've been coming for many years now, and so we appreciate all you do for the community, and of course the very important services that you provide.
Thanks, James.
Thank you, James.
All right, we're back on the Riders' Choice Awards. We've got about 15 companies left here, and so we'll start and get right back into it. And so the Riders' Choice Award for the best fleet management company. Oh man, yeah, this was quite a contested area, of which some of these companies, of course, have won in years past. But for fleet management, which is increasingly an important topic, the winner is Papaya Technologies. Congratulations to Papaya, European-based company, doing some great work, and a big win in a space that increasingly is getting competitive and popular. The next Riders' Choice Award goes to the best folding electric bike, an area that we've seen a boom here in the United States. It's an area that's always been popular in Europe. And there are a lot of the more traditional makers like Brompton in this finals, as well as a lot of new entrants in this space. And again, it's becoming a category. I believe Levi Electric said the folding bike is their most popular model right now. So this is one of the higher rated models for them. And so the Riders' Choice Award for the best folding bike goes to Lectric. Okay, so we have our first multi-category award winner ever at the Riders' Choice Awards. Lectric has now won the best cargo kid bike and the best folding bike. I think that speaks a little bit to the popularity of Lectric and the amount of sort of the volume sales that they have here in the US. The next Riders' Choice Award is for the best front-loading cargo electric bike. Again, front-loading, very popular in Europe. Still hasn't become that popular in the US, but we do think that will change. We saw folks like Sarti from Canada that came to Micromobility America, and there was a lot of interest around the front-loading cargo bike. We've seen some European manufacturers come to America with their front-loading cargo bikes, and we think, again, this will continue. So the Riders' Choice Award for the best front-loading cargo bike goes to Urban Arrow. The company that, of course, you see at Micromobility Europe out of the Netherlands, the classic front-loading cargo model. Congratulations to Urban Arrow and the Riders' Choice Award victory. The next Riders' Choice Award is for the best helmet. As we just saw with Brandon and John's presentation, you can't market, your vehicles if people aren't wearing helmets. Of course, we know helmets save lives. They're a critical part of the infrastructure of micromobility. And it's really important to have, of course, all the amazing helmet makers that we do in the world. But only one can win the first ever Riders' Choice Award for the best helmet. And the winner of the best helmet Riders' Choice Award goes to Unit 1. Congratulations. Amazing first win. I'm glad we have this category, and we need to talk even more about safety whenever we can. Please, everyone out there, wear your helmets. The Riders' Choice Award for the best light or lighting company. Lights are a critical part of riding day and night, of course. And there's really a lot of fun companies in this space, I think, doing a lot of things with, whether they have light rides or just, the many applications of lights, whether it's an electric bike, a scooter, one wheel, a skateboard. And so the Riders' Choice Award for the best light company goes to Shred Lights. Congratulations, Shred Lights. That's an awesome win. a company actually based out of here in the United States, out of San Diego, California. Shred Lights is the winner of the best light in the Rider's Choice Awards. The next company is the best mapping or MaaS company, mobility as a service company. Again, a broad area, an area that we think is going to be increasingly important with AI and where we're going with, of course, Ride AI and what we're going to cover in that space. Horace talks a lot about imaging the entire world and what that's going to look like in the future and what are all the amazing businesses that can come off of that. And so the Rider's Choice Award for the best mapping or MaaS company goes to Move It. Congratulations, Move It, on this victory. Excited to see what you do next. And of course, excited to see you at Micromobility Europe. The next category is for best neighborhood electric vehicle. Some call this a golf cart in certain parts of the world. But this is also what McKinsey calls a Minimobility, sort of the smaller car. We're seeing a lot of examples of regulation here in California around incorporating neighborhood electric vehicles or lightweight electric vehicles into the communities. We're also seeing that the sales numbers are starting to go up for neighborhood electric vehicles, which is really excited as an alternative, mode shift from, say, a heavier car for neighborhood or routine trips. And so the Rider's Choice Award for the best neighborhood electric vehicle goes to GEM. Congratulations to GEM. This is the second time GEM has won the award for the Rider's Choice Award. GEM is at Micromobility America, some of their amazing models of vehicles, and we're excited to see where GEM goes next. All right, one more category before we get to the next presenter, and that is the best off-road moped. So again, this would be a moped that you take mostly for off-road purposes. As I mentioned earlier, this is where you start to get vehicles that cut across being an e-bike and being a moped or being a motorcycle. And so the Rider's Choice Award for the best off-road moped goes to, Super 73. Congratulations to Super 73, a company based here in California, but has a lot of traction in Europe as well. An amazing company that, of course, is known for electric bikes, has an electric motorcycle coming out. We talked to Legrand, their CEO, on our podcast not too long ago about that. And then you also see how people use things like Super 73 vehicles and voted it as the best off-road moped company as well, given the speeds you can potentially go off-road with their vehicles. So we'll stop there. We have just about 10 awards left, but I wanted to bring up our next presenter, which is Charlie Hammerslaw, who's the founder of Zoom Urban Gear. And Charlie has a keynote for us that we're very excited about. So Charlie, I'd like to welcome you to the stage. You there, Charlie? You're still muted and off video. All right, apologies there. Charlie's still just getting ready. Charlie, you just let us know when you're good to go. Oh, okay, I think we lost Charlie. He'll probably be back shortly. I will do another category until we get Charlie back. One second. Sorry for the inconvenience here. The next award is for the best off-road skateboard. So we already did commuter skateboard. Now we'll do off-road skateboard. Again, a lot of companies in the space, a lot of electric skateboards can be both off-road and commuter. So seeing a lot of overlap there. But the winner for the best off-road skateboard is Apex Skateboards. Congratulations to Apex. Awesome win. Very excited about that. And then we'll do one more. Okay, I see we have Charlie too. So we'll do one more category here. A very highly contested category, which is the fat tire electric bike category. We're seeing at Ride Review, probably one of the top questions we get is what's the best fat tire electric bike? And so this is a category that, again, is highly contested, both popular in the US and in Europe from the traction that we've seen. And so the Rider's Choice Award for the best fat tire electric bike goes to electric bikes. So this is now the third win for electric. Electric is becoming is taking home the most Oscars in the Rider's Choice Awards parlance now with 3, the first 3-time winner ever now for electric out of Arizona. So congratulations to Levi and his team. That's quite an impressive feat we have here. So with that, I will stop the Rider's Choice Awards, and we will go over to Charlie Hamislaw, the founder and CEO of Zoom Urban Gear. Good to have you on the show, Charlie, and apologies about the technical issues on our end. I think we're just a little bit ahead of schedule, so might have caught you by surprise there. So sorry to the audience too for being a little bit ahead of schedule. But I believe you're ready to go. Is that right, Charlie?
I am. Can you hear me?
Got you. Your video looks great. Yeah, let's I'll give you the stage. Best of luck.
Right. Thank you. Let me share this. Let me share the screen with you. Hold on. Sorry. Let's see. I wanna hold on. I think I've got the wrong share. Let me get over here.
No problem. Take your time.
Yeah. Can you see that?
Yep. I mean, we can see your notes and everything too. So just not sure if there's a presentation.
I want to get you the other side of the share. Hold on, that's the wrong side, but you know what? I can
just go expand or
yeah, just all right, you can see that, right?
looks great.
Yeah, okay. So we're a startup company in the electric scooter accessories space. And as part of starting up our marketing, we wanted to have some deep understanding of the cultural roots of electric scooters. So when we went back into this, we discovered some interesting things, and I'd like to share some of it with you. So before we do that, let's look a little bit at the history of electric scooters. The first modern bike with pedals and even-sized wheels appeared in 1861. Then the motorcycle, and then there was sort of a craze for putting gas-powered motors, internal combustion motors, on almost everything. So the earliest what we would call predecessor of the modern electric scooter was the Autoped, which was a gas-powered scooter, and we will talk about that a little bit. Interestingly, it was actually the predecessor of the sit-down scooter. We'll talk a little bit as we go along about Vespas and so on. And then there was the GoPed, and then ultimately in the 2000s, the modern electric scooter with a brushless DC motor and a lithium-ion batteries started to emerge. So the Autoped, which was in the time period 1915 until the early 20s, when it kind of fizzled out, was something new in transportation. And in fact, it was advertised to both men and women, and it was in fact advertised in a very gendered way. In particular, it was advertised to women as something that could be enabling them to go visit their friends and call on other people. And the advertisement you see in the center there is very much about performing a female gendered role of an affluent woman. But it was also adopted by as a utilitarian tool and advertised that way for physicians to go visit their patients. And ultimately, say the post office bought a number of them. And you see a woman on the Autoped on the right. And that's not, these are not advertisements, these are actually photographs from the era. It was clear that this really was a craze. It caught the imagination of everyone. And in particular, you could see that it was women of what we call women of influence. Lady Florence Norman, who was a British suffragette in 1916, posing on her, it's an Eveready, which was the licensee of Autoped in Britain, looking very dignified on her way to her office. And Amelia Earhart, actually in the 30s, in a rear-powered scooter, who was an American pioneer and adventurer and so on, widely admired. So what started to happen, quite interestingly, is that the scooter itself became more identified with female gender, and in particular, female independence and autonomy. You can see the strength of this cultural association actually by some of the reaction. This is a satirical drawing in a magazine called La Vie Parisienne, which was very popular during World War I. And it's satirizing women, in fact, in many very harsh ways, satirizing women who are interested in electric scooters. In this case, there weren't electric scooters, it was the Autoped. So you can see the figure on the left, number 2, and also the figure in the center, which is a man. Those are the actual only real descriptions of the Autoped. All the rest are three-wheeled sort of fictional devices with fictional motors on top. This was actually a kind of infantilizing image to portray women on top of a child's toy, a patinette, which was a three-wheel device. So in this image actually has just enormous potential for understanding, but it reflects a lot of masculine insecurity at the time about women claiming any kind of independence. If you look at the two images labeled number 3, they're both portraying women being helpless and infantilized. In the one on the upper side, the patinette is running away from her. On the lower right, it's broken down. She has no idea to fix it, and she's helpless. And then even sort of in a more toxic masculinity mode, there's a reaction of, if you look at pictures number 4 and 5, of women essentially being sexually licentious in a kind of indirect way. It's being portrayed here with the wind flying up her skirt and exposing a woman, and this other woman in the lower right looking terribly helpless with a patinette between her legs. So you can gauge in some way the strength of the association that the marketing started to create, but the culture picked up, of women's autonomy and independence with the scooter, the original post-World War I craze. Well, it actually disappeared after a while, and the scooter itself, but of course not women's autonomy. So after World War II, there was a movie that actually really introduced and popularized the Vespa very much in the world. And here you see, the movie was called Roman Holiday, and the plot is of a princess who's played by Audrey Hepburn, who is looking to escape her duties. And she goes out in the town sort of incognito, But as part of her adventures with Gregory Peck, she gets on a Vespa scooter and goes zipping around. It's notable that this was actually Audrey Hepburn's really breakthrough role. And she was cast in part because she was a character actress who didn't have a particularly sort of sexy vibe. She actually had rather small bust, a small butt. And she was cast in particular because she didn't look like a sort of sexy and curvy Italian actress. But in fact, what's interesting is that the scooter, in this case that she's driving, the Vespa, is the vehicle of her liberation. I think it's also worth noting that although the scooter pictures were used very much in the marketing of the movie, it only appears for a few minutes in the movie itself. And by the way, Vespa's sales surged by 100,000 in the following year. This just shows, again, some images of Vespa advertising from the 60s. On the left is a British ad, which emphasizes dependability and a kind of dependence of a woman on a man. But the text there, the copy says, putting the world's women on wheels. So there's definitely a gendering of the Vespa in this case. And then on the right is from the United States, and it's emphasizing the Vespa's independence in the sense of cultural independence, that you can be different by using this kind of alternative vehicle. And they weren't terribly popular, but they were they did become popular in time, of course. And that gets us to today and current advertising. With people on my staff, Haley Bauer, who I'd like to give a lot of credit to, we did some research and we found out that the images these days of women on electric scooters are pretty much evenly divided between men and women, but there's still a strong emphasis on independence and agency and empowerment that's built into the scooter. So you see on the left, Ina Kim, in the center, Tor, and on the right, Bo, three highly design-centric and innovative brands in this space right now. And each of the women on those is unfortunately unhelmeted in two of those images, but you can see that there is a strong woman vibe to all of these. Let's see. So just to conclude, what do we learn from this? I think that our exploration of the idea of what are the deep cultural roots of scooters has revealed that it is originally very much a gendered vehicle as opposed to cars, a gendered vehicle for women, as opposed to cars, which are very gendered as male, or have been. So the questions are, how can we use these deep understandings to market in a sensitive way, in a respectful way, and also an effective way to accelerate adoption. My belief is that if you really, really understand how to talk to people, to understand why they're using scooters and what their customer journey is to becoming scooter riders, that we can further adoption and improve the prospects of micromobility. I would like to thank Haley Bauer, who collected a lot of these data and images. She's our social media and engagement manager, and you can see our contact information there. Thank you all very much.
All right, Charlie, thank you so much for the history lesson and some of the beautiful photos that it sounds like Haley helped put together for you from a marketing perspective. So Charlie, we will see you at Micromobility Europe later this year. Is that correct?
Yes, and Haley and some other members of my staff, I'm happy to say.
Okay, great. So yeah, for all those coming to Europe, you get a chance to meet Charlie and the team in person here in June. So yeah, Charlie, have a wonderful day, and thanks again for coming.
Take care.
Okay. All right, we are back with our final round of Rider Choice Award winners in some amazing categories. Probably one of the biggest categories in the space, as we heard from Augustine earlier. Probably the category that has shifted the most over the last year which is the best shared operator. And so quite a category. And the winner for the Rider's Choice Award for the best shared operator, is this going to be US or is this going to be Europe? This is a big one, guys. What do we think? It's Bolt. Oh, so the big European behemoth in the rideshare, car share, ride hail space also takes home the best shared operator, beating out its rivals in Europe, the new Tier and Dot aligned team and Voy, as well as beating, of course, Lime, and of course beating Bird now and Super Pedestrian and others here in the US. Congratulations to Bolt. That's a big win, and that means there's a lot of community, of course, that loves you out there. All right, so here's best overall reviews. We've already had the best e-bike reviewer. That win went to Electric. Now we got to go for overall reviews. Who is the best overall reviewer in the micromobility space? And the Rider's Choice Award for this category goes to Electroheads. Woohoo! Big win for Electroheads. We love Electroheads. We'll see them at Micromobility Europe here in June. And just a great win for them and their community and for getting the vote out. Not easy to win in the review space because the communities can come on and vote pretty hard. That's a big win for Electroheads as the best overall reviewer. Next up is the Rider's Choice Award for the best charging in hubs. A lot of people in this category, increasingly an important solution for cities and all sorts of mobility charging habits, of course, that are needed in urban environments. And of course, here in the US, we're seeing an increasing importance on this space as we worry about fires and fire safety. And so the Rider's Choice Award for the best charging in hubs goes to Tyler. Congratulations to Tyler. The first time they've won the Rider's Choice Award, and hopefully not the last. All right, next up is the best pod, the Rider's Choice Award for the best pod. This is similar to what McKinsey calls Minimobility, but not in the neighborhood electric vehicle space like we saw with the GEM win. The best pod is for vehicles that can go faster in the US here than 35 miles per hour. And so the winner for the best pod goes to a European company, actually, in Carver. Congratulations, Carver, on winning the Rider's Choice Award for the best pod. All right, the next category in the Rider's Choice Award is for best R&D or components and components. This is a space that encompasses a lot of different types of companies, both in the research and development space as well as in the component space. And the Rider's Choice Award for the best R&D and components goes to Valeo. Valeo, a French-based European company. We saw them actually just very recently at CES. They will be at our Micromobility Europe show. They are doing some fascinating things in the overall mobility space, in drive systems and battery technologies and other types of components. And we look forward to see how they will continue to innovate in the micromobility space. So congratulations to Valeo on the Rider's Choice Award for Best R&D and Component Company. The next up is the Best Retail Sales and Maintenance. And the Rider's Choice Award for the Best Retail Sales and Maintenance goes to Bikewise. Congratulations to Bikewise. That's a big win in a very competitive space as it relates to the Best Retail Sales and Maintenance category. The next category is for the best risk or insurance company. It was great to have, of course, Brandon and John looking at more of the legal framework around risk and insurance in the micromobility space. But as it relates to a company, the winner of the Rider's Choice Award for the best risk or insurance company goes to LACA, European-based insurance company. You can insure both your vehicles. They also have programs for businesses. Very exciting company coming to the US as well. The next Rider's Choice Award is for the best road electric bike. And the Rider's Choice Award for the best road electric bike goes to 10ways. Congratulations to 10ways, of course, making all kinds of bikes. We just saw them at Micromobility America with some of their new models. And I know they've got another announcements coming up later this year. It's a great win for 10ways. As the best road electric bike, according to all of the communities out there. The next Rider's Choice Award is for the best scooter reviews. And this only has a couple of finalists. There's really some amazing scooter reviews across both what we saw with Electroheads, but also Rider Guide and Electric Scooter Insider. And the Rider's Choice Award for the best scooter reviews goes to Electric Scooter Insider. Congratulations. We also want to give a shout out to Rider Guide, a good partner of ours who does amazing work in the scooter space. But Electric Scooter Insider, you are the winner this year for best scooter reviews for Rider's Choice Awards. The next category, the final category, I believe, for the Rider's Choice Award is for best subscription service in micromobility. And the winner for the best subscription service as a Rider Choice Award goes to Motto. Congratulations to Motto. That's a big win. Another European-based company offering subscription services to the micromobility community. Wonderful win. Congratulations to you. Now the final category. Sorry, got that one wrong. The best trike, so three-wheel electric bike. And the Rider's Choice Award for the best electric trike goes to AddMotor. Congratulations to AddMotor on this win. The first in the Rider's Choice Award for the trike space. Congratulations to everyone there, and I look forward to seeing AddMotor, I believe, at Micromobility America later this year. Oh, and then finally, sorry, one more category. You might get this wrong. The final category, I'm positive on this, goes to the best vehicle to everything company. This Rider Choice Award will be important as it relates to everything that we want to do with Ride AI. This is increasingly a safety issue. This is increasingly a data issue for everyone in micromobility to have a bigger seat at the table, get more investment from infrastructure, and of course, keep people safe by allowing their vehicle to communicate with the other vehicles and services on the roads. A big part of the digital infrastructure will be laid by these V2X companies. And so I'm excited to give our last Rider's Choice Award to the best V2X company, and that goes to Comsignia. Congratulations to Comsignia on this award. And then as well, congratulations to everyone who participated in the Rider's Choice Award. It was awesome to have so many winners across so many categories. So congrats to all those winners. We'll be putting this in our newsletter, as well as on our website at ridereview.com, as well as at micromobility.io. And for anyone that needs any digital artifacts or anything around your award, please just reach out to us and we'll get you whatever you need. And so with that, I will invite our last speaker to the stage. This is Alex Nord from Thor Avas. Thor Avas was, of course, eligible in a couple of categories there. We also saw Thor Avas at our event at Micromobility Europe last year. And I'm very excited to welcome Alex to the stage to give a presentation entitled Sound Matter. So I want to find out more on what Alex is going to talk about, but in order to do that, we'll invite Alex up to give us that presentation. So welcome to Micromobility World and the stage, Alex.
Hello.
Hi, there he is. Okay, Alex, the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much. Just give me 1 second to start my presentation. Right. I'm sorry, I'm Alex Nord, and today I'm going to present you guys Thor Avas, acoustic vehicle alerting system for all type of electric vehicles. Before actually I start my presentation, I'd just like to do a very short introduction. Let me start with greetings. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, I just use my voice to greet you guys. And I think everyone understood what I just have said. But what if, instead of using my voice, I just wave my hands without saying anything, just like that? Those people who can see me would blink or just smile, but those who are distracted wouldn't even realize that actually I just started my speech because I didn't hear anything, right? Very often, similar situations happening on the road. An electric vehicle start driving or moving, but pedestrian was busy or didn't even notice or didn't hear anything. And as a result, what we have accidents. Unfortunately, there are a lot of accidents happening on the road right now, involving electric cars, electric scooters, bikes, mopeds, all pretty much electric vehicles. And the main problem of all these accidents is because all electric vehicles are silent. We found a solution to solve that problem. We produced and developed patented IoT sound solution. And also we have a very large sound library in our solution. It consists of 50 plus different sounds, such as like sound of real car motor sounds, sound of sci-fi sounds as well, real animal sounds, and emotional phrases. When you have a VAS system on board, you will get much more safety, because definitely you become much more recognizable. And our actually tool and our actually solution is very universal. You can install Thor AVAS on pretty much all type of electric vehicles. When we do our sounds, when we create our sounds, actually we try to do both. We try to do them pleasant for people and a little bit quieter than sounds of real cars, and at the same time recognizable for people. So people understand actually some vehicle is ahead or in front, or it's actually moving to protect you to have an accident. Our approach is very unique because we initially created the system by introducing the principles of psychoacoustics and conducting tests in an anechoic chamber as well as in outdoor conditions. We actually, for tests to improve our solution and to improve our sounds, we invited people who are visually impaired because they are most at risk. And for them, it's very, very important to feel safe when they're on the street. And it's very important for us to understand what sort of problems they have and to help them to reduce that situations to like accident situations. Let me tell you just a little bit about our system. Our system consists of software itself, its set of files and documentation. Also, we have a sound library. As I said, it's more than 50 different sounds. When we're talking about real motor sounds, it's the sounds of car, for example, BMW X5 M competition, Mercedes AMG S63, Ferrari, Lamborghini, different sport cars and very powerful cars as well. Also, we have some sounds of real animals and emotional phrases. Our solution is unique, as I have said previously, because we have an option in case if your vehicle doesn't have a pre-built speaker, like for example, some old models of scooters has no speakers pre-built. We have an option called loudspeaker, which consists of control board and our IoT module together as well. We can do that basically to have ready from the box solution. So as I said, like if your scooter no speaker, we can offer you this option as well. When we're talking about AVAS in general, we are offering high-end quality AVAS for customers, for clients, or our clients. So we are also conducting tests, and also we have opportunity to create our new sounds. When we are talking about the last feature about creating sounds, I would like to say that AVAS it's actually very powerful tool to distinguish your brand from competitors. I'm absolutely aware about some cases like UK installed AVAS solution into their bus, very famous bus, two-story bus. Also, AVAS was installed into a bus in Germany. Very famous Hollywood composer Hans Zimmer made actually AVAS for BMW. Also, companies like Tier and Bolt, they installed AVAS in their e-scooters. So as you can see, sound is very powerful nowadays. It's very important for sound branding to promote your company, to be away from the crowd, to be, noticeable, to be recognizable, because it helps you to show who you are and what sort of product you are doing, what sort of product you're actually developing. As for me, AVAS topic, it's like an engine revs up, but you can hear it. When we talk about our customers, I'd like to say that we are pleased to collaborate with manufacturers and shared operators of light electric vehicles. Right now, you can see my contact details on your screen. We have an office in Dubai, we have an office in Armenia, and thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Alex. Appreciate you taking the time, and of course, being on the show to sort of round everything out. And Alex, we'll see you at Micromobility Europe later this year. Is that right?
Definitely in Amsterdam. Same time, same day.
Same time, same day. Okay, Alex.
You remember my date.
That's right. That's right. Well, we look forward to seeing you, Alex. Thanks so much for joining the show.
Thanks so much for inviting. Yes, thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So that ends our programming, folks. We appreciate everyone for coming out. We appreciate the over 2,000 companies that were nominated, the tens of thousands of votes that we got in the Writer's Choice Award, and to the over 40 category winners of the Writer's Choice Awards. We appreciate you. We appreciate everything you've done. Thank you so much. I also wanted to give a final shout out to Ride AI. Look forward to more information on Ride AI in your inbox tomorrow with a manifesto on what it is that we're up to, as well as our newsletter, which will start next Wednesday, hitting your inbox. If you have information for us you want to send us, please do that at any of the channels you might want to send us, whether it's social media or our emails. Please send us information. We'll get that landscape out soon, and then we'll also announce our conference dates for Micromobility America and Ride AI in the US just in the coming weeks. So with that, and then finally, our shout out for Europe. We hope to see you there. We hope to be riding with you there. It should be a fantastic time. As Alex was just saying, back in Amsterdam, same time, same place. And with that, that is the show, folks. That's Micromobility World. Thank you again for coming out. And we look forward to seeing you at Micromobility Europe in June. If you can't make that, see you at Micromobility America in October or November of this year. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you.